Go.
Hello friends, today we are going to do a science experiment. We are going to learn about sinking and floating. Who knows what sinking and floating is? Let's look inside our container. So if something is floating, it sits on top of the water like this ball. And if something sinks, it goes straight to the bottom. So when Miss Danielle goes swimming, I like to float on top of the water. Just like this ball is floating on top of the water, it's staying to the top of the water. All right, friends, for our science experiment, I got a lot of different objects. I have a metal spoon, a plastic spoon, a pencil, a piece of paper balled up, a domino, a nail, a paper clip, a pen, key, a ducky duck that says quack quack, a wooden block, a candy cane, a candy corn, and a penny. All right, and then over here I have a plate that says float and a plate that says sink. So when we drop the object in, we're going to determine, before I drop it in, we're going to determine if we think it's going to sink or if it's going to float. And then after I put it in the water, we're going to see if we're right, and then we're going to put it on that plate that matches. All right, so I'm going to start off with the plastic spoon. Do you think the plastic spoon is going to sink or float? Let's see. What did it do? Did it stay on top of the water that's floating, or did it go to the bottom that's sinking? That's right, friends. That plastic spoon, it went to the bottom, so I'm going to put it on a sinking plate. The metal spoon. What do we think is going to happen? Is it going to sink or float? That went straight to the bottom. So that metal spoon, it sunk. So we're going to put that in the sink. Pencil. Is this going to sink or float? Look at that. That wooden pencil is floating. So we're going to put that in the floating plate. You know what happened to this ball? Let's see. Floating. This ball floating. So we're going to put that in the floating pile. How about this cute little quack quack duck? Do you think it's going to sink or float? Let's see. It's on top of the water, so that means it's floating. So we're going to put that in the floating pan. This wooden block, is it going to sink or float? Let's see. Look at the wooden block. It's on top of the water, so it is floating. This tiny key, is it going to sink or float? It went straight to the bottom, so it sank. So we're going to put that in the sinking plate. How about this delicious candy corn? Is it going to sink or float? It went to the bottom, so it sank. I'll put that in the sinking plate. This penny, do you remember what happened to the penny? Let's see. That's right, it went to the bottom, so we're going to put that in the sinking container. How about this foam counter? Is it going to sink or float? Let's see. It's on top of the water, so it's what? Floating. A couple more objects. We have a paper clip. Is this going to sink or float? It went to the bottom. It sank. And Miss Danielle made a mistake. I put the foam counter in the sinking. I'm gonna fix my mistake. This is gonna be the last object. We're going to use a domino. Is it going to sink or float? Look at that, it's on top of the water, so it's floating. All right, friends, so now it's your turn. Now you're gonna gather items and we're gonna determine if it's gonna sink or float. All right, bye-bye.